Okay, so good morning to everyone. We're gonna start with the second webinar. After how to start looking for a job after this COVID-19, because the situation is different than before. We not only in the amount of people that are in the market, the competition, also in the way that we're gonna look for our new job, or our new challenge. So we need to adjust our job search and also the tool that normally we use to do that job search. So we will start with starting, like always, like who we are, the Hispanic Institute. So the Hispanic Institute is a all-long organization for many years here in Houston, is empowering Hispanic to achieve their goals. So what our mission is the one that is there, is we celebrate and empower the Hispanic community by promoting arts, culture, and education. So this is our main goal, help the Hispanic to achieve their goals, especially if they are in the arts, culture, or education. About who we are, so because today I'm not by myself talking, so I have another panelist that is very well experienced in this. She will introduce herself. So I will start with myself. My name is Carmen Herrada. I'm living in Houston, but I'm originally from Spain. And I have studied, worked, and lived in other countries, like mainly in Asia. So, but I'm learning here a lot about the American way of doing business, American way of working, networking, and how to start creating your community. My background is an economist by career, and because I've been living, working in other cultures, I'm very aware, I'm very concerned about the cross-culture communication, and I'm not very, I could consider myself a diversity and inclusion advocate. And as my profession, I'm a leadership advisor, so I advise companies to get the best talent, matching what they need with the talent of the people, and I help leaders in the onboarding in their corporations. So I will introduce Maria Perez, and she can let you know more about herself.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm very excited that you're joining us today. I started working with students at the University of Houston that were going through the job application process, and it became obvious to me that they were really not familiar with this process. I was the coordinator of Spanish for the global professions. A part of the curriculum was developing resume skills in Spanish, but I realized that the students were really not familiar with the process in English. So I became very aware of this, and I started working with the students on how to get them to improve these skills that are so necessary when you're trying to find a job, especially for the first time. So I'm very committed to this process, improving this process, and hoping that whoever goes through it will achieve success. And as Carmen, I am a Houstonian now for many years. I was born in another country, in Cuba, and I have lived in 6 different Latin American countries. Very familiar, very aware, as well as the differences, cross-cultural, things that unite us, things that may be a little bit different, but hopefully we can work all this together. So I'm going to get back to Carmen, and she's really an expert. We're very fortunate to have her.
Okay, so thanks, Maria. So what we are going to start is checking about how the offices were, how the work has changed in the last 2 months. So previously, at the beginning of this year, just like 100 days ago, we were working like in large corporations or large institutions, government, education, non-profit organization, big spaces where all of us, we were working, having meetings. We were waking up every morning, go to work there, finish it at 5 or later, and then go back to home. Or we have other type of spaces that is more on the right, like co-working spaces that where self-employees were going, or startups, or companies that they didn't want to have the liability of the big expenses of a big company, and they were gathering together and working over there. This has changed. I mean, for good or for bad, I mean, this has changed. And what we can say is that this is not coming back. So this is one of the big change that we have seen, but we have seen more others, like, for example, new concepts and a completely new world. So if we see the picture on the left that is open online, this is a complete new concept that didn't exist before. This is an example of Gensler. Gensler is I took it from Gensler. I didn't create that picture. Gensler is the biggest architectural studio in the world. And they closed their offices and now they're open, but online. So they still are doing work. They go to your place. If you need a new house, they go to measure, they go to see the samples that you want for anything, but they do everything online. This is new, and this is something that is gonna start to get into our lives in more other aspects, not only in the architectural, also in offices, in fashion, in shopping, in restaurants. This is coming to stay. The picture on the right, it's really something that we need to show and to really digest that information, because what we are facing is a world that is different. When we are, because that will come back, I mean, when we get all these 22 million unemployees, that people who are now in unemployment going back to work, this is going to be completely different. It's not only that they're going to work in a different way, it's going to be a completely different world. So we need to get ready for this. So what can we say about the future of work, the new reality? One thing that this is for sure is that the leadership will improve. We are going to have another style of leaders. I mean, it's very easy to be a leader if everything is calm, is going well, the sales, everything, but leadership in crisis is completely different. So we are going to see another type of leaders that communication is going to be key, empowering all the levels, I mean, it's going to be key. So that's one of the main points. The second is remote work is here to stay. We're going to start to see that more and more. The company culture will become a focus. So because we are going to be not everyone together in the same space, the values are going to become even more important. Your values as a person, but they are going to be more like we are going to pay more attention. So one of the things as an executive search that I'm seeing more and more is that we are doing executive assessment to people. So before we were like just checking, does he have the degree? Is he an engineer? Does he speak the language? Can he do this? But now we are doing personality assessment. What type of leader you are? What type of collaboration person you are to work in a team? I mean, we are going to check the values of the person. About nomads, this is a term that it was incorporated in our language in 2013, and now it's becoming more and more in fashion. So we are going to be like working for projects. I mean, in the past, we were just looking for a job, and this was our role, and then we changed company and role. Now we are going to see more and more people like self-employees working in a project after 18 months, or when they finish the project. The sooner they finish, the sooner they go to another project. So this is something that is coming more and more, working by projects. And it's not going to be so surprising to see resumes that they have like 20 different projects. I mean, in the past, you have like 2 or 3 positions in your whole career. Now we're going to see more jumps, and it's not going to be questioned. It's not going to be a bad sign to have that many changes. Another point that Maria will talk more later is about the digital footprint. I mean, that will be like your best letter of reference. What means is like whatever you do, it's gonna leave a footprint. Whatever you do, your studies, your job, your achievements, things that you don't do right, they're gonna be there. I mean, people are gonna be discovered. If you did something wrong, I mean, it's gonna be like even if you do a legal offense, it's gonna be it's gonna be there. So whatever you do it right, and because it's gonna be there, and it's gonna be for the rest of your life. And especially never burn bridges. So when you leave a place, leave friends. Don't leave enemies. all around the way. And the last thing is that adaptability is one key that is very important, is learn to learn. I mean, if you have a resume that you don't have so much experience, it's nothing bad, because what they can see, the recruiters, what they're gonna see is like you are a fresh talent that is ready to learn, and you don't have to learn. But that's something that you have to keep in your mind. You have to be ready to unlearn, because what you learn is gonna change. I mean, you're gonna learn a new system, and when you know how to use that IT system, I mean, there is gonna be a new one. So be ready all your life to learn new things. I mean, and the future of work, that is something that we are listening, everyone is talking about that. COVID-19 has been a complete accelerator of that. So we are doing, the job descriptions are changing. I mean, we used to see job descriptions that they say ability to travel 60% of the time. This is past, because we're not gonna travel that much in the future. Business trips are gonna be limited, because it's a big liability for the company. So companies are gonna prefer global profiles. So if you are Hispanic, or you are from any other country, or your family is from another culture, it's a plus in your resume. And please highlight that point, because it's something that companies are going to require. So so in the job descriptions, they were always checking the commute, because they wanted to make sure that, is this candidate be able to come every day from 9 and leave at 5 o'clock? I mean, now, because of the remote work, I mean, it's not that important anymore. We're passing from a chronological resume with achievements to your portfolio of achievements. So let's say that you are a community manager. You want to be a community manager because you are an influencer in Instagram, Facebook, all the social media. So instead of having your resume, you need a resume, but you also need like a portfolio of projects. So you can say like, hey, look at my Instagram. I have like 100 million followers. Hey, check what I did, this website. So this is gonna be what the recruiter is gonna check, what you did. We are going to pass from protecting information to sharing information. This is something that Maria will explain later more. I mean, collaboration and sharing information is a must. What you do, share it with the world, and also create your community of counterparts, community even of competitors. Your competition is not your enemy. Your competition is your best collaborator. And we are passing from in the past, when one person was like finishing the studies, I mean, the companies were looking for these young students that they have very good marks and they are willing to conquer the world. Now what the companies are looking is more like a well-rounded health-aware profile. What we mean is like people that are very, very well, I mean, first of all, about the health-aware, it's important because we want health people in our company. We don't want to have like people who are exposed to viruses or any other disease. And also people who they are not doing crazy things, crazy stuff. They are posting crazy or non-appropriate things online. About we are starting now with the resume. So there are 3 key points in the resume that like strategic points, I mean, that I will say. The first one is like, have clear your purpose and objective. The first 3 lines or 4 lines in the resume expose what you want to become. I mean, that's the key, because if your first 3 lines are not really relevant or doesn't say that much, they're not gonna read the rest of the resume. So be clear, have an impact in the first 3 lines. The second point is like, tell a story. Whatever you've done in your experience has a connection. What I mean is that if you took a job in summer just to get some cash in T-Mobile shop, I mean, you can always say that, oh, I was there because I wanted to learn more about customer services, to improve my communication skills, but don't say I was just there to get some cash in my summer job. And the third important point is customize your value. Customize every job search that you do, customize your resume. Having a resume for every position, every company, everything. I mean, it doesn't work like that, because you have to make an impact in the person who is gonna receive your resume. So about saying this, I mean, Maria is gonna explain more in detail about the real resume, and then we will summarize by the end. So Maria?
Okay, so thank you, Carmen, for such a relevant and expert advice. And before we go into the resume, I'm going to clarify the two terms. Sometimes we hear resume, sometimes we hear CV, and they're really not the same thing. So the resume is used for the job search. This is a one-page summary of what the title says. It's a resume, a summary of qualifications, highlighting the relevant skills, and like Carmen also mentioned, tailor-made to that particular position and to that particular company. So this is not one single document. The main information, the main content may be the same, but you're going to tailor it to the different audiences. It's used for employment application, is used in outline form. So there is no room for narrative in the resume. You're using strong language. You're using action verbs and bullet forms to highlight the most relevant skills. A CV is totally different. It's used in academic fields, and this is something that would be used in an application for graduate studies or for a grant or for an internship, and it's much more extensive than a resume. The curriculum vitae may be several pages long, and it does include narrative. It's a lot more descriptive. But again, the purpose is different. So make sure that you know what they're asking you to do. So if you're applying for medical school, more than likely you will develop a CV. If you're applying for a job in the oil industry, that would be your resume. Okay, so the next one. So how do we get to this document that is going to be the representation of who you are on paper? Language is going to be very important. Content is going to be very important. So what you want is something that is impactful enough that would move you to the next step, which will be the interview. And the resume has to be precise, concise, and impactful. One page, that's all you get, one page. Formatting that is appropriate to your job field is key. There are different ways of approaching a resume. You're going to find many templates online. So the first thing you need to do is research. Research what is appropriate for your particular field. If you're in a more creative field, you can use more bells and whistles. If you're going for something that is very traditional and conservative, such as the oil industry, you want to stick to the standard. But first of all, do that research. Regardless of what you do, you want to have readability. So what do I mean by that? Use standard fonts such as Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri, and the size has to be 11 to 12 font. So just because you want to cram in more information, don't go into size 8. I know that they can change it, you know, when they're reading it, but you don't want to do that because they don't have that much room to be reading. And this has to be a document without any kind of errors, no spelling, grammar, punctuation errors. So you have to kind of check and check and check again. And do not trust completely on that spelling function on Microsoft Word because it can change your words. So one word of advice for this checking, I would say, show it to your professors, show it to other professionals, even classmates. Have different people read it and give you feedback. Another thing that I would go back into the formatting portion, sometimes people may have a very successful resume that they use in a Spanish-speaking country, and they think, okay, this was really a good resume, I got good feedback, I'm going to put it through Google Translate, and then I'm going to use it. That's probably not going to work because the formatting is going to be different. Sometimes resumes in other countries include more narrative and include information such as marital status or age that is not used in the US. So that would immediately signal that this is not an adequate resume and may also have syntax or grammar errors. So be careful with these Google translated documents. Again, you want to use language that is really impactful. So I would say look for this language, and there are lists according to industry of how to describe functions in action verbs, impactful descriptions of qualifications, character, personality. So this is also part of your research. Moving on to the organization, it has, going back one slide. Okay, organization is going to be, as Carmen mentioned, in chronological order with the most recent always at the top. And what they're going to see first is that resume summary. And these are the 2 or 3 most impactful lines of your resume where you're going to state your goals. And you want to get as much for bang for your buck as you can. For example, if you're applying to an education position, you may want to say student center, passionate about science, innovative educator seeks entry-level biology position at Sam Houston High School. So you're telling them that your focus is going to be on the student. You're going to work with any kind of student. And you're going to make sure that they learn. And you're innovative. So you're going to be using technology. You're going to be using projects. You're not the run-of-the-mill teacher. And that would be very important now that all the education has moved to an online format, and a lot of educators are scrambling, trying to find ways of different ways of teaching that are not face-to-face. Or if you're in a marketing position, you may say sales-oriented, performance-driven, marketing graduate seeks to utilize work ethic and Spanish bilingual communicative abilities to promote broadcasting, advertising, sales at Univision. So you're highlighting that you can function across languages, across cultures, and your focus is always going to be on performance. So try to get as much as you can in those 3 lines. The rest is going to be, again, in outline form with bullet points. Education usually follows, and then the work history. And this work history might be flexible now that, you know, it's not just a single job. However, if you're a recent graduate and you have a history of honors, awards, work with student organizations in leadership positions, you may want to shift that category and put that next, and then have your work history at Walmart for the past 2 years below that. And always include the bilingual skills and technology, because these are skills that will be very important regardless of your field. If you list bilingual skills, make sure that you can conduct your interview in Spanish, because more than likely they will find a professional that can do that. So do not be surprised and be prepared to handle this. And if you're still in school, I would highly recommend that you take advantage of courses in Spanish, professional Spanish courses, either legal Spanish, Spanish for healthcare, or for business, that would provide you with the nomenclature, the lingo that is specific to your profession, and the etiquette to conduct business in your profession. So now we move on to the next slide. Alrighty, so you already master your resume, so what is next? You really show them what you can do with your resume. Now you're going to fully demonstrate that you are the best candidate for the job with your cover letter. And that is selling of yourself. You want to be that yellow in this group that we see here. You want to be the candidate that they identify as the best for the job. And we're going to do this through the cover letter. And I would say the cover letter has to be, again, one page, brief. Everything has to be intentional, so do not leave anything to accident. And you're going to be that yellow butterfly in the middle that they see apart from the rest. And again, there is a little bit of confusion sometimes on how to do this, and you may hear letter of intent or statement of purpose. This is a different document. This is not for the job search. This is something for academic purposes where you're demonstrating your critical thinking, intellectual or academic potential, and this is mainly for graduate school applications or grants or internships. And you may have had experience with a personal statement, and that's what you probably did when you were applying to college. It's all about you, your character, and your personality. The cover letter is matching those skills that you listed in your resume to the company culture and to the specific job requirements that were listed in the advertisement. So you're trying to convince them that you're the person that has the point, you're exactly the point where these two things meet, right? And is going to have to be as well very impactful, and it's going to expand. So we move on to the next slide. It's going to expand on your resume objectives and goals, and it's going to match your character and your personality to that corporate culture. So it's not only about your skills, but it's also about who you are and where do you fit into this company. It has a very standard structure. It begins with an introduction, and in that introduction you would say, I'm applying for this particular job and I found this position listed, or I contacted your recruiter, or I found out about this position or your company in a career field, on a career fair, and you're going to tell them a little bit of how this position and how this company will be the beginning of your professional career, or how you see yourself evolving, and this is the company that is going to meet your goals as a professional 5 years from now. This is somebody that in a position or a company that really meets with your goals and objectives. The second paragraph is about skills and qualifications. What can you do? How can you contribute to the company in this position? And you're going to be using these strong action words, and you're going to use specific samples. And this is a paragraph, so you don't have, three pages to describe everything you ever done. So you have to be very selective of your examples. And I would say, again, do your research online. You're going to find lists specific to the different industries. And I put here 4 main categories: technical, problem solving, management, research, and innovation. So under these 4 categories, find the skills that you have, and then find a specific example that supports this claim. If you're applying for a job in an ER as a nurse, And you put in your resume that you're a multitasker and you're capable of working under pressure very effectively. You may want to expand on that on this second part by saying, well, I was while I was in school, I kept a 3.8 GPA, and I was also the president of the student organization, and I had a part-time job working as a nurse's aide. So this would support all of it and it will tie up to the next paragraph, which is about character and personality. And again, you make your list: leadership, work ethic, communication skills, and do not be bashful. Sometimes we tend to be very modest in describing ourselves. And again, provide specific examples. So do not just use words because they sound good or because you found them on this list. You have to support your claim. And finally, you end with a thank you and you're closing, and you're going to be ending on a very positive note. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to having the opportunity to further discuss the position with you and my goals and my contributions to the company in an interview. So any way you want to phrase it, but that is important. And that's basically we move on. And I will end up by using this word that Carmen also mentioned at the very beginning, which is collaboration. And we have seen collaboration in action through these trying and difficult times of COVID-19 at all levels. And so maybe we're moving and shifting from the model of individual achievement towards a model where teamwork, collaboration, cooperation in problem solving would be more appreciated. So if you have examples of any of these characteristics, or you may want to add that to your resume, because this is part of also that shift in which we want to be more flexible. We want to be more adaptable, and we can handle anything as long as we work together for a goal. And I will end with that, and I thank you for this opportunity, and Carmen will go ahead and finish with the closing remarks.
Thank you, Maria. So then, thanks for the insights and your help. So one thing that I didn't mention is that Maria and we are board member of the Hispanic Institute. So how the Hispanic Institute can help you in your job search and creating a new resume is like one thing that we are doing to all our members, to all the employees of our partners or alumni of our associated universities. We are trying to help them to review the resumes, and also if there is any guideline to follow, because we are receiving some resumes, so we can give you some guidelines. We have access to applicant tracking system, so because the most difficult part is to get to the hiring manager hands. So how to pass the ATS, so we can help you to do that with your resume. We can help you to check the spelling and grammar, not only of the resume, also of the letter of application. And we can help you also in support the customization with the job. And the last thing that is gonna be part of our next webinar, it's like our next webinar will be more about the job interview. I mean, how to communicate, how to make an impact in the person that is in front of you. So we are gonna give like 15 minutes on live job interview, and that's the next step. I mean, because once that you have the resume, your goal is to get the job, but all the step in the middle is to get that job interview. So how to behave to land in your dream job. So that will be the next step. So thank you very much to all of you. I mean, because we are already over the half an hour that it was our target. So if you have any question, we will be happy to receive your questions, your inquiries, your resumes. I mean, please send an email to institute@ihch.org. I mean, send us your email with your inquiries, also your proposal, how we can help you if you want to help us. I mean, we are happy to receive any help. So, and let's try to keep in touch. Thank you very much for being there. Thank you.
Thank you.